There was once a water bearer who lived in a quiet little village. Every morning, as the sun rose and the mist lifted from the fields, he would set out toward the river with a wooden pole across his shoulders. On each end of the pole hung a large clay pot. With these, he brought water back to his master's house. One of the pots was flawless, strong, sturdy, and proud of its perfect shape. It carried water without spilling a single drop. The other pot, however, was different. It had a long crack running down its side. No matter how carefully the water bearer filled it, by the time he returned to the house, nearly half of its water had leaked out along the path. For years, this continued. Day after day, the water bearer brought home one pot full of water and one only half full. The perfect pot was pleased with itself. It admired its own strength and usefulness. But the cracked pot grew more and more ashamed. Every time it looked at itself, it saw failure. Every time it compared itself to the other pot, it felt worthless. It began to believe it was nothing but a burden, an unnecessary weight on the water bearer's shoulders. Finally, one morning, as the water bearer was filling the pots by the river, the cracked pot could no longer hold back its feelings. With a trembling voice, it spoke. "Master, I owe you an apology. I am broken. I am flawed. No matter how hard I try, I cannot deliver what I was made for. You work so hard to carry me, but I fail you every single day. I spill half of my water before we even reach the house. I am nothing but a disappointment." For a moment, the water bearer didn't say anything. He simply looked at the pot, then smiled gently, as if he had been waiting for this moment. "My dear pot," he said softly, "do you truly believe you are useless? Have you never noticed the path we walk every day? Look closely on your side." The pot was confused, but as they walked back toward the master's house, it turned its gaze toward the ground. For the very first time, it saw something it had never paid attention to before. Along the path where it always leaked, flowers were blooming. Bright, colorful, alive. Roses, daisies, wildflowers of every shade lined the trail like a living carpet. And on the other side, where the perfect pot had always walked, the ground was dry and bare. The water bearer's voice broke the silence. "All this time, I have known about your crack. I knew you lost water along the way. But instead of seeing it as a weakness, I planted flower seeds on your side of the path. And every day, as you walked with me, you watered them without even knowing it. For years, these flowers have grown, and I have been able to pick them to decorate my master's table. You think you are broken, but in truth, you have been creating beauty all along." The cracked pot was stunned. It had always believed it was a failure, yet here was proof that its flaw had given life. The very crack it hated so much had become the reason for a path full of flowers. And isn't that how life works for us too? We look at our scars, our mistakes, our insecurities, and we call them weaknesses. We compare ourselves to people who look stronger, smarter, more complete, and we shrink in shame. But often, the very places where we feel broken are where our greatest gifts flow out. Maybe your struggles have given someone else strength. Maybe your pain has made you more compassionate. Maybe your so-called flaws have allowed you to touch lives in ways you don't even realize. The perfect pot may have carried more water, but it never watered the flowers. The broken pot, in its imperfection, left a trail of beauty behind it. So perhaps the question is not how perfect am I, but what flowers are growing because of me? The pot never looked at itself the same way again. From that day on, it no longer carried shame on the journey. Carried purpose. It knew that even with its crack, or rather because of its crack, it had a reason to exist. And maybe, just maybe, that's true for you as well. So the next time you look at your flaws, remember the cracked pot. Remember that imperfection does not mean uselessness. Sometimes it means you were chosen for a different, more beautiful purpose.